Yeah.
And then after that, not a big three, right? Just
no small three, just normal. Like I'll introduce that and just be like, yo, we're gonna do like an E3 special, like post thoughts and go through each of the conferences. So I'm gonna talk about EA, Bethesda, Microsoft, Ubisoft, and then Sony and
Right.
Nintendo.
You should call it the small E3.
Small E3. See, this is why I keep you around. What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 14 of Podcast Reload. It's the general gaming podcast by Shifted.net subscribers, where we invite community guests onto the show to talk about the games industry in all its weird ways. I am your host, Vin Hill, and joining me, as always, is, of course, my co-host and fellow Japan dweller, Evan Piotrowski.
Yeah, so, Vin, you forgot to add my new title. It should be fellow Japan dweller and Big Bada Boomcast Podcast Reload collaboration E3 predictions champion.
Yeah, suck it up. Suck it up, go on. Yeah, boast a little bit.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
And joining us as well is, of course, our community guest, which is theImpartialist this week, also known as Nick.
Hello.
Cool. So, as Evan skillfully put through, he did actually win the Big Bada Boomcast prediction special, which we did with Brent on his podcast. It's a couple of weeks ago now, right?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
we did it.
Man, I failed so hard at that predictions list. I mean, I got nothing, absolutely nothing. The only reason why I came third out of this, I think it was like 5 guys that were doing it, 5 or 6. The only reason why I came third was just because of the percentages which I give of what other people's predictions might have been, and like in terms of success. I still don't know how I came third. Like, not a single thing of mine came true. But you nailed it, man. You did really well.
Yeah, I think, what was it? I said there would be a Spider-Man game.
Yeah. Spider-Man game, a new Sony Bend game. And you said, you had been really specific as well, and you nailed the Bend one because you said...
New IP and
Bend
gameplay.
Game, new IP, gameplay, and I was like, no fucking way. No way. We're going to get a Splinter Cell logo at best, you know?
Right.
Well, that's what I thought. I was so wrong.
Regardless of anything else, that was the one that won it because, yeah, no one really got behind that. But actually, right. I only beat Brent by 12 points, he said.
Yeah, it was close.
Which is really close, yeah. But it was fun. Hopefully we continue this for long enough that when it comes to E3 Predictions 2017 that we can do that again with those guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really fun. I had a lot of fun with them guys, like really cool guys. Their podcast has been going on a long time as well. But yeah, like had a great time. Obviously, Evan had a better time because he won. But yeah, definite shout out to the Big Bada Boomcast. But yeah, we should move on to some corrections and any housekeeping we got. I don't think we got any corrections, but we have got a bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, wanted to say a huge thank you to all the people that joined us on Twitch over E3. It was really cool. Like, we had a solid 5 to 10 people the whole time. I really wasn't expecting that much, but yeah, we got quite a few watchers, as it were.
That was fun. I'm just surprised that anyone jumped over from the Sifted Twitch chat to talk with us, so I really appreciate it. Do we want to give a shout out to the people? I know there was a...
Oh yeah, definitely, we should.
So, yeah, major shout out to, well, first and foremost, the 3 people that actually joined us for impressions in a Google Hangout, which would be Obligatory Boss Battle, Tomb Raiders, and V-Hero. So thanks a lot for taking some time out and coming on and talking with us. And then in terms of people that joined the Twitch chat, we have, I think it's Bakby or Backby.
Bakby, yeah.
Him and Odin5, man, you stuck around for a really long time, and you actually were quite active on the Twitch chat. So thanks a lot for doing that. Oh, Dyson XP, of course, he was on as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. He came onto the impressions bit as well.
He did. Sorry, forgot to mention him. But yeah,
I will be uploading all the Twitch stuff over the next couple of days. I've just had, like, when I got back to the studio on Thursday, it was like we hit the ground running again pretty much because Fractured But Whole won is winning still a few like Game of the Show awards and stuff. So everyone's run around in circles. So yeah, it's been a bit crazy. But I will be uploading the Twitch recordings that we did over the next couple of days. So keep an eye out for them on our YouTube page. What was the other housekeeping point that we had?
I don't remember.
We definitely had something.
Did we?
Nick, what was it? Tell us. We definitely discussed it. We had two things. What was it?
I think
you wanted to...
That's not the question.
We wanted to apologize for losing episode 14.
That was it, of course, yeah. But yeah, the next housekeeping point was obviously episode 14. This is episode 14, but it's actually the second episode 14. The original one was lost before E3. It's a couple of weeks before E3. We actually recorded with Nick, same guest, but we lost the whole episode to some technical difficulties, so we apologize for being absent that week. But it's sort of, it sort of worked out at a good time, is probably a bad way of saying it.
Well,
but that day, actually, that we lost the footage, lost the actual episode, we obviously found out that Shane had lost his, had obviously been broken into, and all that stuff happened at Sifted, so it was sort of a somber day,
Yeah, it was a moment of podcast silence.
Yeah,
for
yeah, you could say
community.
But there's a silver lining for you, Nick, because you get to come on and talk about E3.
Yeah,
Sure,
you are
that's
our
it.
first. You are our first reoccurring guest. Also,
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
congratulations.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks.
But yeah, Nick, we've got a question for you, man.
Okay.
If you could have any developer make any game, remake, sequel, new IP, whatever, who and what would it be?
So my answer is actually incredibly relevant to the Sony press conference, because my answer is actually a new Resident Evil game. However, my ideal Resident Evil game would be kind of a return to the roots, and I'd love to see a return to the fixed cameras and the sort of more slow-paced cinematic style. And
So like the old tank controls and everything, or
I think they could do something to improve the tank controls.
I was gonna say, God, I hate
I'm really used to them as somebody that plays those games all the time. But like with the HD remasters, they did the alternate control method, which wasn't perfect, but I think there's room to improve on the control method that they use in the remasters. And I think if they built a ground up bearing that control method in mind, that could be the way to go.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Also, yeah, sure. And also, I have I have a really specific idea of like what I would love it to be story wise. I basically would just want to be. I think I would love to be a STARS member again, and I'd want to just start the game. You basically just wake up in an ambulance in the middle of the street, and you realize that you're still in Raccoon City. And I just want a new STARS member that's a totally new character, but he gets to visit all of the areas from the original games from a totally new perspective, and he could maybe even find evidence of those classic characters that we all have a lot of nostalgia for.
fair enough. But who would you actually specifically have developed this game? Would you have it like old Capcom, or would you have like a new developer work on it?
I would want to have old Capcom, the original team, and I would want Mikami back to direct it.
Fair enough. No, it's a good pick, man. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Resident Evil fans out there right now that would have loved for like a PT team to work on it, to work on a Resident Evil game, like first person, like horror game. But too many dreams have been answered this E3, so yeah, too good. But cool, no, it's a good one. A good old classic Resident Evil wouldn't ever go amiss for any fans, I'm sure, of the series. So cool.
Actually,
so, yeah,
now I'm really curious to hear what Nick has to say about.
Yeah, definitely.
But
we will get around to that. We'll get around to that.
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on, we'll move on to what we've been playing this week. So we'll start off with our guest, Nick. What have you been playing this week, man? If anything, because of E3.
Yeah, I suppose that kind of intermittently. I've been playing Doom still. I'm still working my way through Doom.
Cool.
And I've actually recently jumped back into Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh God, you unfortunate soul! See you in a month.
Yeah, that's it. I've been holding off till E3 is over so that I can just jump back into the ether. And I'm gonna resubscribe
like
again.
Elder Scrolls Online, I recently, I bought it about a year ago, but because where we are in Japan, I bought the American version of it, and for some reason it tries to connect to the American servers and not the Japanese servers. So it's really, really laggy to the point that I can't play it. But then when that happened, I was like, you know what? This is probably a good sign. I probably shouldn't be putting my time into this game because I put like 300 hours into Skyrim and this is going to absorb my life. And then like 3 months later, I got a job at Ubisoft. So it actually worked out quite well. So I'm glad that it didn't work for that.
There is actually a specific reason though, and that's because of the Dark Brotherhood content that was recently added.
Right, the new DLC.
Yeah, so that makes I'm definitely going to resubscribe again to get access to all the DLC, and I'm just in the process of starting a new character, and I'm going to try and level up all over again and get through that Dark Brotherhood content. 'Cause I've been waiting for that for a long time. So
looks good, man. Looks good. Okay, how about you, Evan? What have you been playing, man?
It's actually kind of ironic that during, as you say, Vin, kind of gamers' Christmas, that because there's so much information and articles to be read and videos to be watched during E3 week, that I think a lot of gamers actually don't play a lot of video games during this week. Right? Yeah, so, man, it's been PlayStation, like PSN sale city these last week or so. There's been a bunch of sales on stuff, so... I actually picked up 2 of the Ratchet & Clank games, Ratchet & Clank Tools of Destruction and A Crack in Time. Now, I know there's a game in between those. It's supposed to be a trilogy, but that game's only like 3 hours long. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't want to buy it for it was like $9.99. So I beat Tools for Destruction. I've actually only played, prior to these 2 games, I've only ever played Deadlocked for the PS2, which most Ratchet fans say is the worst one, and I actually quite liked it.
Well, then you might really like these ones. That's a good one.
Yeah, I blew through Tools for Destruction, and I'm almost done with A Crack in Time. I probably played A Crack in Time for like a good 9 hours today.
Cool.
Yeah,
little fun fact, side story. The lead designer on the Fractured But Whole, the new South Park game, he actually used to work at Insomniac, and he actually worked on the games. It's kind of funny.
No, they are cool. They're really good games. It's it's 3D platforming, but it's pretty much all about the guns, and I just like that every gun is upgradable. Like they automatically upgrade the more you use them, and then you can also put these kind of crystals into certain things like rate of fire or power and stuff like that. So. That kind of system is cool because it forces you to use almost every gun because you want to level each one up to level 5, which is the max. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy both of those games. Like some games that you kind of dread playing, but you want to play, like Hotline Miami 2. Hotline Miami 2 is sitting on my PlayStation 3 right now. I absolutely love the first one, but that game is just so intimidating that I just don't want to play it. Whereas the Ratchet games they're not very hard games. They're just a lot of fun, and it's like I think about playing it when I wake up, and it's just a really easy game to play for like 8 hours straight. It's it's one of those games. But yeah, I like what I've played so far, and it really makes me want to play the reboot on the PS4, the one that came out this year. So,
it's too bad you don't have that console, huh?
Yeah, it's very bad that I don't have that console.
You need to buy a PS4, seriously. It's kind of ridiculous.
Vin, what have you been playing?
This week, I finished off Red Dead Redemption again.
Again?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just polished it off. Because my fiance, she watches me play a lot of games, so... I was just playing through it a little bit, but then she got hooked on it, so I had to replay it again just so she could watch the ending, sort of thing.
That's a good one to watch.
She wasn't too impressed by the ending. Let's just put it that way. But obviously, no spoilers. But yeah, she wasn't very happy, I should say.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I was very impressed by that ending. Wait a minute. What are you playing this on?
I love that. Yeah.
I'm playing it on the PS3.
This is so ridiculous. I'm playing on the PS3 because I have to. And you have a beautiful, nice, shiny 3-year-old PlayStation 4 and you just decide to go back and play a PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I like, as well as that, like after I finished that, I actually started playing the Kingdom Hearts series again because I've got the Final Mix PS3 remaster on there.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
But that's in light of what Square Enix have been showing at E3 this week, obviously, with Kingdom Hearts 2.8. Fuck, I can't even keep track of them anymore. Ridiculous titles. But yeah, they've actually, from, if you play all three of them remaster collections or whatever, then you're actually completely up to date for Kingdom Hearts 3, ready for when that gets out. So I figured if I start going through them now, like by the time I finish them, then Kingdom Hearts 3 might be almost out. So yeah.
I don't know, man. I think you started a little too early. By the time Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, you'll have already forgotten this playthrough.
This is true, yeah.
Just
I'll
have to
start
play it again. Yeah.
Fuck, you're right.
Maybe 2.9 will
But
be
yeah,
out
I'm
by
playing
that
through
time.
them. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It hasn't aged as well as I thought it has, but at the same time, it's still quite fun. So
Right.
yeah, we'll see in a couple of weeks. See if I'm still playing them. I doubt it. I hope not. But yeah, anyway, we should move on. We should move on to our main section of the podcast. Normally we do the small three, but this week, as Evan so cleverly came up with as a title, we're actually doing the small E3. Ooh. And in the small E3, we're basically going to talk about each of the conferences for about 10 minutes each, and then we're going to, at the end, give our game of the show. I'm just going to go through the whole of E3, basically, and say what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we thought about certain games, how they stood out, etc., etc. Cool, so we should start out in order, actually. We'll start out with EA. EA's conference was on the Sunday, local time in LA. I think it was, Christ, it might have been like Saturday or something. I don't even know what it was in Japan. But yeah, you all know what came out of EA at E3. EA at E3, it's a mouthful. Nick, what did you think about EA's conference?
Oh, where to start? So
I think you're speaking for all of us here.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think anybody gets their hopes up when they start watching a EA press conference. I don't think, you know, nobody expects a show to be put on, you know.
Right.
But the whole idea of putting on a show for the public at the same time of E3, I actually liked the idea when they announced they were doing that, and because there was actually one in London, and that's England, so I could actually go there. I actually seriously considered going. Yeah.
Didn't they show an NFL game?
Oh, yeah, they
London.
did, yeah.
Can you imagine how much
London.
people enjoyed that? Fucking idiots.
But the whole concept, though, of doing your actual E3 conference from there, I had no idea that they were actually going to do their E3 conference from a public event. And it just felt like the entire time that they felt like they were more concerned that their actual event was going smoothly and not that they were delivering a actual good and informative press conference. It felt like
I can agree with that.
Their public event just took priority, and that just totally killed the flow and the impact that anything had there.
Yeah. Like, for me personally, when I watched it, it was just a lot of talking and no showing, really, a lot of the time. You know, it was just constantly people on stage, like, talking about how good a game was going to be and how awesome it... Like, man, like, we're going to do this... Like, awesome new things are coming to FIFA. It's like, yeah, why don't you fucking show us? It's like, yeah, and then, like, in FIFA you can do it. It's like, yeah, why don't you fucking show it? Like, the whole time, man, it was just like, you need to show your games more. Because their whole... It just felt weird. It felt really weird.
It felt like a conference from, like, 10 years ago. Like, I thought we were past...
Yeah, exactly.
We were past this.
Yeah, like, it just felt really messy and unstructured. The games weren't that impressive a lot of the time. It was just... They didn't announce... I think they announced one single new game, and that was an indie game that they were publishing, which was Fee.
Oh, I
think
forgot
Fee
about
was the only
this.
game that they actually showed.
Oh.
Yeah, and they came out on stage and they said, we've got this whole new indie development initiative, and we're going to do this. It's called EA... I can't remember what it was called. That's how bad it was. But they said, we're going to have this whole new initiative for indie games, and like, here's one of the games from it. And they showed Fee, and Fee looked all right. It was like, okay, this is cute. This is cool. then
Well,
that was it. That was your whole indie initiative, quote unquote.
Yeah, there was no
this one game.
And this is something that kind of happened in every press conference. There was no like big indie montage that everyone used to have. Like no one did it this year. I was a bit surprised, including EA. We have this massive initiative. By the way, here's one game.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a bit weird.
So, yeah, I actually have some kind of strong feelings about them showing that game because last year, I actually would have said that Unravel was kind of a highlight. Like that guy's little talk he did about the game he was making was just so heartwarming from E3 last time. And you know, if last year wasn't the E3 of dreams, I think that
quote unquote,
yeah, you know, that game would have probably got even more exposure if there wasn't so many crazy things going on. But this year, I just felt with the showing of Fee that like that was a strategy by EA to be like, okay, I think we got a lot of goodwill by showing an indie game last year. We just need another one just to tick that box again.
Yeah.
And
no, you're right. I mean, when he came out on stage, the developer was just like, it's like this has happened before. Like you've done this before. You're trying to rebuttal magic. You know, it's not working, sort of thing.
And I don't want to say anything bad about the game because, you know, indie developers are the soul of the industry now,
right?
But I kind of felt sorry for them because I kind of felt like it was a play by EA, and what they were saying were just kind of like bullet points that they were looking for, because there was not the same level of passion and creativity as Unravel. Basically, I guess that's all I'll say on that.
Right, they were just looking for like they had like their all these indie games. They're like, well, which developer is like kind of slightly awkward, and you know, like they wanted to show this game exactly like they did Unravel or something. Like, oh yeah, pick that guy. Like everyone liked the Unravel guy. Let's bring in Fee. That guy will work this time again. Check that box.
And that's it, yeah. I mean, it really pains me to even say anything like that because, you know, I always go out of my way to be positive on the internet, but it just felt obvious. Like, it just felt like you could really just read into that so clearly.
Like just, it was pure, it was totally cynical, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt too much like a tactical decision to have it in there, rather than like, here's something truly beautiful we want to bring to the world, you know, which is what it felt like last year, you know.
Yeah. But saying that, there was actually some decent games shown there, even if we did know about them all. It was just unfortunate the showings of them. I mean, the only game that really got its due diligence was Battlefield 1, which obviously had the post-game. We had like a whole hour of it. We had 3 whole games from multiple perspectives of Battlefield 1.
Awesome.
Fucking looks amazing. It does look great. And that was the highlight of the show for me personally. But obviously we had Titanfall 2 being shown as well for the single-player campaign, which is now officially confirmed, which looks awesome as well.
That looks awesome too, yeah. But
saying that, what do you guys think about the graphical fidelity of Titanfall 2? Because I know, like at the time when I first saw it, I was like, it still kind of looks like a bit like the first game a little bit. You know, it didn't. I don't think it was that graphically impressive. Like, what do you think about it, Evan?
I was surprised. I just watched the Game Face E3 stuff that Shane and Matt did, and I was really surprised to hear Shane say that the game looked impressive graphically.
Right.
Because, and I don't really sit there and like look at a game like, oh, how good does it look? It was so underwhelming that was one of the first things that I thought.
It looked like Titanfall 1, basically.
Yeah. So
it's fine. It's fine to me. You know?
It stood out to me that I was like, oh yeah, this game kind of just looks like Titanfall 1. Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, because I never played the first one, so you know this will be all new to me anyway.
I loved Titanfall 1, you know.
Yeah, but like if you put Titanfall 1 and 2 next to each other, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like as a consumer that didn't play Titanfall 1, like I'm sure there's Titanfall 1 gamers out there that will be just like, yeah, this is totally different. Like that looks different. That looks different. But from a outsider perspective, like it just looks the same to me.
Yeah.
I would say I'm one of those guys. Like, if you show me a picture, I'd be able to tell the difference, just because, like, oh well, that mech has paint on it now. That guy's gun's a different color. I was really into Titanfall when it came out. And it's actually the reason why I bought an Xbox One. And actually, I kind of would like to say on record, I think that that game was the beginning of this return to the old style first person shooters that we're seeing now. I actually would say that actually started with this game.
Yeah, it's a fair comment. I mean, there was a lot of military shooters out at the time. I remember, like, after, obviously, Respawn formed from post Modern Warfare 2 Fallout, all that stuff that happened. They formed out of that team. A lot of them guys worked on Call of Duty. They were sick of making modern shooters. And then they came along and made this, like, parkour shooter with Titans in it, just with robot mechs and stuff. And it just looked insane. It was just out of nowhere.
The traversal and the speed and the little boost jump you do, it's everywhere now. And it's so easy to forget that, that is actually, they were the people that nailed that first. And that is the part of the game that all the reviewers loved. And that's the part of the game that so many developers have adopted since then. But about the second one, there is one key thing that I really liked what they did. And as a Titanfall fan, I thought I could have worked out what they would have done with Titanfall 2 if I'd done a story. But it was such a cool idea to, like, let's actually make the Titans a character.
Sure.
Oh, that's such a good call, and I didn't actually see that coming.
I like
the story
that.
was great.
And
it looked intriguing.
I like that there's a single player campaign, because I don't play competitive multiplayer, so this is actually something that I could actually play.
In this game now.
Although, can I say, like, the Titans, the design of the Titans, they're fucking boring. Like, they don't look like anything. Like, and I'm not saying they have to look like Japanese mechs, but when I say Gundam, you know exactly the style I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or when I say Neon Genesis Evangelion, right? It's like you know those looks, those mech designs, and these are like the most. They're just so boring. They're like round and gray, and it would have been nice for them to make some cooler designs.
Yeah, I do respect them going out of the way to come up with their own art style that doesn't just look like it's copying anime,
Oh, sure. I don't think anime style mechs would have the place in this game, but yeah.
Sure. But I think what the problem is there is, like, the first game there was essentially like 2 or 3 mechs, and the third one was just a bigger one of the first one, which worked totally fine in a multiplayer only game. But I think where the cracks are showing there and the lack of variety is just, they all look like iterations of that original mech design that we saw in the first Titanfall trailer. But I have faith that we'll see something a little bit different. But yeah, I'd like to see something more than just a new lick of paint on the same Titan.
But yeah, we should probably talk quickly about the other games that were shown there as well. Obviously, we had the usual look at the next round of sports games that are coming out. Obviously, we got Madden, FIFA, and I think they were the only 2 sports games, actually. But yeah, FIFA's got a new engine, which is cool. I mean, a lot of people complained about that. The last engine, they're moving up onto, Frostbite now? Yeah, they're moving on to Frostbite. And obviously the other 2 game series was Star Wars, which we got a lot of taste, but we got nothing really concrete from that. Like, I don't know if you guys, like, other than just like the little spots of gameplay.
Yeah, the most exciting part of that was, like, the 3-second clip from the Amy Hennig game we actually saw in the montage.
I mean, and it showed us nothing, right?
Yeah.
It was just like a dude in an archway.
Vin, I think we kind of talked about it, but it was just that trailer they showed, it was just it was badly cut.
It was messy.
Yeah, it was
like,
very,
I don't
very
know what
messy.
was from what.
It was like jumping around from like studio to studio. I'm like, what's going on? What is that? It was just,
it's like,
you're
it was a
jumping
load
back
of video
in?
of like a bunch of guys. It's like, our guys are working hard. Yeah, on what? Yeah, they're working really hard. Look at them. Yeah, on what? Wait, what are they working on? They're working on Star Wars. Yeah, we know. But what Star? Like, they're working, and then it just ends.
Yeah, it's like cut, cut, and then next studio. It's like, okay, there's a net. Yeah, it was just very.
Like, I literally lost count of the amount of studios that were in that video. I've no idea.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, I think that montage though, like, really summarizes EA's problem, which is their whole vibe, and that's that when you say that we've got studios working really hard, why are you showing an actor in front of a fucking green screen?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
same problem with the Mass Effect trailer too. It's like, oh, that game is nowhere near finished, or maybe it is, but they barely showed anything.
Yeah, speaking of Mass Effect, like, what do you guys think about that piss poor showing? Sorry to use my words harshly, but that was a piss poor showing.
It makes me think like that game isn't ready because they barely showed anything.
Yeah, like, from what I saw, I was just like, yeah, this game is still a year and a half out at least.
Yeah.
At least. Like, if
what
that
I will say is, though,
that might even be like a February 2018 game. Like, just how little they showed of it.
Well, because then, like, if they had more to show, they wouldn't have done this weird, like, dev diary type, thing.
Yeah.
They would have just shown
the
trailer, or shown the trailer and the plus gameplay. But no, they had to cut it up.
That last CG clip, though, what I will say is, like, I was on my edge of my seat when she was just waking up and sort of sitting up gradually, and I just felt myself getting emotional, just like, oh my god, this is it. And then it just cut, and it's like, they could have really got me there and really sold me on that game, but just not enough.
It's too bad. I mean, overall though, like, my impressions of the EA's conference wasn't that great. It was probably the worst conference out of all of them, I would say, actually.
I'd say by far. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah. And it's too bad because they went off on their own. They left, obviously, the ESA and said, you know what, we're not coming into the convention hall this year. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to do our own conference. And it ultimately sort of fell flat on its face. I don't think that they actually got to what they wanted to get to, which is too bad.
Yeah, then I think I also told you this as well. I was trying to find a GIF of, like, someone with, like, it says E3 on their forehead, like come on, come back, and then, like,
right,
and someone just put, like, a stamp of, like, whatever, EA, like, coming back to E3, like, yeah, it's all right, you tried your best, just come on back. Yeah,
it's too bad, man. It is too bad. But yeah, anyway, we should move on. We should move on to Bethesda's conference, which was next. It was on the same day, a bit earlier in the evening, local time. But yeah, with Bethesda, Nick, what did you think about Bethesda's conference?
I loved Bethesda's press conference. Bethesda's press conference from last year was one of my favourite moments, and it was from this year as well. I thought it was awesome. It started in the best way possible. If you just show me a command line interface in your marketing material, I'm buying it, whatever it is. And it was so cool to show Quake so early. I'm a big fan of the old id games. I was a little concerned that they kind of go in with the hero shooter approach to it.
I honestly think the way that game looks, it's probably going to be free to play. I think they are chasing the Overwatch crowd, definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. But I love Overwatch, and if they nail that type of gameplay in the Quake style, then I'm totally sold on it. But that aside, as a moment in the press conference, as like part of the show, it was great. It was such a good moment, and I loved the new Quake logo as well. Just that old Quake logo is one of my favourite old school logos, and just seeing it all nice and crisp in HD, that really cool style cue.
I'm not going to ask Evan what he thinks about Quake because he probably doesn't give a shit about it.
I don't think anything of Quake, so you can.
Right. Right. Obviously, you're not a fan of multiplayer shooters, but yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, they're bringing it back for the old crowd. I think it's a bit too soon after Doom myself.
Yep.
I think people are still. If it's going to be the same engine, it's going to be the same stuff. It's like, why don't you just put more effort into Doom? It's a bit weird to me, but it's cool. I mean, the fans are happy for it, so yeah, it's all good. But yeah, moving on. Next game that they showed was obviously Dishonored 2. It was a massive blowout for Dishonored 2. We got multiple gameplay, trailers and examples of it. But I wanted to ask Evan what he thought about this one because he's a huge Dishonored fan. It's in his top 10 games. So Evan, what did you think about it,
man? It was like I didn't know whether to watch it or just close my eyes because I know I'm going to buy this game and I'm just gonna play the shit out of it. It was one of those weird things. But the game looks great. It's just, it looks like more Dishonored, but Emily Caldwin, like, That's so awesome that you get to play as her. I guess
such a great choice. I was so happy when they announced that.
Yeah.
Like, you can play as either of them as well. You can play as Corvo if you want either.
Yeah,
which is very cool.
It was really weird to see Corvo and actually see him speak or hear him speak. It was like the weirdest thing. It was.
Yeah, because obviously because we were sat next to each other when you were watching it, and you looked at me and you were like, "Oh my god, is that Corvo?" It's like, yeah, it is. Like, you just don't realize, do you?
Yeah.
Because you've been playing the whole game with him not talking. I don't think Corvo talks.
No, he doesn't. I mean, you have like dialogue trees at points, but it's pretty much like yes or no. But no, he doesn't talk at all in the game.
Silent antagonist.
But yeah, it looks awesome, and it looks beautiful. I love the art design and the character design. It's like it's not hyper realistic. Like the characters have very exaggerated features. Like lots of space between their eyes, or like really really big noses, or like big brows, and
it's a perfect balance between being realistic and like hyper realistic.
Yeah,
it's that really nice middle ground.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. And of course, Uncharted. Jesus, I think I just want to play Uncharted 4. Uncharted. Dishonored is about the powers. So it was cool to see them showcase a couple of their powers, and some of those new powers look so fun. Like one of my favorite ones, aside from the Shadow Beast, which looks creepy as hell, is that
does look creepy.
That chain power where you can chain enemies together, and if one enemy dies, then they all die. It goes down the line.
I'm really excited to use that because the amount of times I like go into a room, especially on Dishonored, because I've been replaying Dishonored recently, the remaster on PS4, and just the amount of times you go into a room and there's 4 guys there, and you're like, oh god, okay, I've got to wait for one to walk out to the side so I can pull them over and straggle them and like you have to tactically think about it. But if I could just go into a room, like connect these 4 guys up, take the one guy out, and they all, instead of like meticulously sat there waiting for them to get through their animation cycles, now I can just do it all at once. That's awesome. I'm really excited to get all of that mechanic more than anything else, I think.
New engine as well, right?
I believe so. I mean, not that the last one was bad, it didn't look bad on, I think it was on Unreal. I think the last one was. Pretty sure it was.
I'm not sure.
I'm not so sure. Anyway, I'll probably get a correction on that.
But the lighting anyway in this new engine looks amazing.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for Dishonored 2. It looks like a really, really cool game. Definitely pick it up day one, I probably think.
Yeah, I'm on blackout from here on out. It's like I wanted to see it, but I didn't want to see it because I knew that I know I'm going to buy it.
Did you see that point where Corvo died?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Like, it was leaked. No, I'm joking. that doesn't happen.
Okay. Hey, actually, side note. You know that collector's edition? Can you wear that mask that's in the collector's edition? Is it scale?
You're really
I don't
creepy.
think so.
I hope you know that. You just,
that's a weird question.
I never want to do a podcast with you ever again.
It's
just an image of you like creeping up on your wife, like in the kitchen or whatever.
Oh no, I'm thinking mask, in my underwear, like playing the game.
That's really creepy. That's genuinely terrifying. Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Speaking of creepy. Prey was shown, and not the old Prey 2 demo, which a lot of people saw at E3. And I think this sort of flew under a lot of people's radars as well. Like, as soon as this was announced, a lot of people stopped talking about it as well, even though people are excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it. I thought it looked really cool. I didn't see the original Prey 2 demo, even though a lot of people are saying that it looked way better than this one, which was shown at this E3. But obviously, it's a total new game. It's just called Prey.
New. Yeah.
Yeah, a complete reboot, which is really weird. I think this might be the first game which hasn't had a sequel that's got a reboot.
Like, what's the point of even keeping the name, right? Just make this some...
Right, it's called something else.
Completely new IP.
But yeah. I mean, all we saw was a CG trailer, but, it looked interesting enough.
Yeah.
Like, how do you guys feel about it? Nick, what did you think about it? Are you a Prey fan, or...?
I played Prey back in the day. I was a little late to the game with the first Prey. Like, as usual with their PC stuff, I kind of, over the years, to and fro, it depends, like, when I get a new PC, I just go crazy with catching up on games. And that was one of those back in the day. But I loved the trailer itself was a amazing trailer. Like, it was so well cut. It did such a good job of giving you the vibe of that world. It just felt so dark.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting the Prey logo, but when I saw it, I was like, that is awesome. The one thing I will say, though, is I hope the ghost thing is an alien. That's the only little thing.
But yeah, I mean, the game looked great. The trailer looked... Yeah, it's just a CG trailer. I'm always hesitant to say I'm excited about a game after I see a CG trailer.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'll hold my judgment for now, but more Prey, it can't be a bad thing, right?
Yeah, and I'll just say, Nick,
sure.
I quite liked the trailer as well. I'm a massive fan of David Cronenberg, and I just like the body horror aspect to this, where he keeps every day he's checking his eye, and it's getting worse and worse. Like, it was just very, like, unsettling. You're just, like, wondering, like, how bad it's going to get. It's like, oh, man. And I liked the way the trailer kind of set up the game. It looks interesting, yeah.
Yeah, other than that, outside of that, we obviously got a lot of DLC announcements. But before the DLC announcements, I wanted to talk a bit about Skyrim. Obviously, the Skyrim remaster got announced, which I predicted, but I didn't put it into my Big Bada Boomcast predictions, which I'm really pissed off about now.
Could have won you.
Like, I should have put that in my predictions. But yeah, that was announced. I'm fucking hyped for this game. Like, I've already put like 300 hours into it. I'm happy to buy the remaster and go through all the DLC and put another 400 in it, maybe.
See, this game must be amazing, because I've never heard someone say that they're just as excited to go back into a game that they've already played for 300 hours. So I really need to check this game out.
It's I just can't even.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've never played Skyrim. I know I have it sitting on my shelf, but it's the PS3 version, so you understand why I'm not playing it. I'm sure.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a good idea to not play it on the PS3, because that optimization is legendary.
Yeah.
You know?
But now I'm excited because I get to play it, and definitely.
Yeah, I mean, when you buy a PS4 eventually.
Mods too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, mods too. I mean, I'm not that bothered about mods. I'm more excited about like the graphical changes which he's made. I'm happy about that. But yeah, just another excuse to jump back into that world, man. I'm super hyped about it. I mean, have you played Skyrim before, Nick?
I have, yeah. So my favourite Elder Scrolls is Oblivion.
Okay.
This was one of those games that really came to me at the right time in my life. You know, I was in college and stuff like that. But I still really liked Skyrim. I never actually finished the story. I did, like, the main campaign just didn't grab me as much. But I still loved the game. I've still probably played the game for 100 hours, and all I did is wander around with a bow and arrow, just shooting animals, and just gradually wearing down giants from a distance. That's basically how I leveled up in that game.
So that's what I have to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to playing it again and actually trying to finish the campaign this time, you know.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the campaign isn't even that important. It's just
I mean, sure.
Just get lost in that world, you know, like literally you can just walk, you can step out of that first area. Like, okay, come with me to the town. Like, this guy tells you to go somewhere with him. You can just be like, no, screw you. And you just turn around 180 and just run in that direction. Like, literally 40 hours later, you might come back and find that guy in that town still waiting for you. You know, you can literally just get lost like that. It's awesome. I'm way better optimized than Fallout 4, which is weird because it's on the previous gen. But yeah. But yeah, other than that, obviously we had a load of DLC announced. DLC for Doom, DLC for Fallout 4, and a bit of a teaser at the very beginning of the conference, actually, for a new Wolfenstein. Like, actually on that DOS sort of intro, which we were talking about on the Quake trailer, there was actually a bit of a teaser for the new Wolfenstein, which will probably get announced within the coming months, I suspect. So, yeah. I mean, are you guys ready for more Wolfenstein, or do you not care about that stuff yet?
Wolfenstein's actually one of those few games from that era that I actually don't have nostalgia for. But like, I've had the New Order sat on my desk. It's on the stack of shame, waiting to be played through.
The stack of shame. I love it.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd be into it, but yeah, I've just not had the time to check that stuff out. So yeah. And
I played the New Order. I enjoyed it. Not that bothered about a sequel coming out. It was a great game, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see when it comes out, when we start to see more. But it was more of a teaser. Yeah. So
I'm loving
might
this.
Not even be true.
I'm loving this single player campaign stuff. That's what I'm loving.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. You're right. I mean,
reminder.
We've had such like an injection of games which are just single player only FPSs.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward
Cool.
to it.
So Bethesda's conference, Evan, what did you think of it, like overall?
I actually didn't see the whole conference. The EA and Bethesda are the only two that I didn't watch from start to finish. I think it was good, solely because Dishonored 2 happened to be part of it. So if that was the only thing they showed the entire conference, I would have been happy. So easily amused and easily satisfied by anything Dishonored.
Yeah, I thought it was a great conference. I mean, it wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst by any means. They just had game after game after game, games which people wanted to see as well. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that were pissed off that they didn't show Elder Scrolls 6, and they're fucking retarded that they even thought that was coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's their own fault for hyping themselves up.
One final thought on the Bethesda thing. I loved that they started it by walking on stage to heavy metal. It just reminded me of E3 days of old, where every game announcement was announced with some heavy metal riff playing as the dude walked on stage. It just felt really old school and just really appropriate for the id games.
Yeah, that's what I like about Bethesda. They're very much in tune with what was good about the past of video games. The history of video games, and they keep the good stuff, and they tend to get rid of the old stuff, like the bad stuff, which is good.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got a very good taste when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, definitely, I think the heavy metal music is stuff.
And it's their second shot at it, and so far they're 2 for 2.
Oh, dude, yeah they are nailing it. Like 2 out of 2. So yeah, hopefully next year, third time's the charm.
Yep.
But yeah, we should move on to the next conference, which was one of the first big boys. So the first big boy was obviously Microsoft. So with Microsoft, obviously they announced a couple of new games. They showed off a lot of hardware. But what did you guys think about it? Nick, what did you think about the Microsoft conference?
Again, it was a good conference. They really nailed it this time in terms of what they really need to be talking about. Last year they said it was games, and the actual game stuff they did show wasn't that great. Whereas this time I do feel like they really delivered. The hardware stuff, I felt like there was maybe a little bit too much talk about hardware, because I just think E3 needs to kind of be mainly about the games. But at the same time, I actually really like what they're doing with the hardware. I think the S is a good idea, and that I'm definitely going to get one, because I think exactly. I do actually have limited space around my TV on my entertainment system, so I'm going to get that just to save a big chunk of space there.
You don't have to get it. You don't have to build an extension on your house just to get the VHS Xbox One.
Right. So exactly. I was gonna say, Nick, if you had an old Xbox One, if you got the S and you didn't need the old one, you could just put it in the back of your truck to weigh down the tires in winter.
Oh, that joke will never get old. I mean, it was too big, man. It's too big.
But games-wise, I would say I'm kind of a big Gears fan. Certainly of the first game, but I don't know, it looked graphically amazing, the new Gears. But in terms of what to show in an E3 demo, I think they could have benefited by just showing a little bit more of the fun, or just something where there's a bit more going on. But it was still acceptable. It was just I felt like they were showing us only just a taste of what was to come. I would like to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I think.
When it comes to Gears, it comes to Gears though, I mean, I kind of disagree with you in that way. I mean, Gears 4 for me was a much better showing this year than it was last year, at least. That's all I really wanted out of them. I just wanted a better showing, because last year's showing was just absolutely horrendous. And that's kind of what I'm saying, though. I think it was they did just do what they needed to do, whereas I would have liked to have seen the extra step to just blow us away on it. Yeah, I mean, when we were watching it, me and Evan were watching it in the same place, and I looked at Evan and I was like, all right, this is Gears. This is what I wanted to see last year.
Totally, yeah.
And that was the main thing which I took away from it. I was like, okay, this looks like Gears, and this is what I want to play as a Gears game. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of excited for Gears 4. I'm not hugely hyped. I'm not going to go out and buy a console tomorrow for it or anything, but
right. Gears
is back.
And I'm happy about that. Sea of Thieves though, No, that looks awesome.
But speaking first about Gears, like, what did you think about it, Evan?
Actually, yeah, just backpedaling a bit. I think I get what you're saying, Nick. You're kind of just saying like, yeah, it was definitely a better showing than last year, but they basically just kind of showed you a single firefight in the game, and that was about it, right?
Right.
It was just like, take any firefight in the game, like, oh, there it is.
I mean, yeah, they just showed us. I mean, Vin nailed it. It was like, this is Gears. So like they showed us everything we need to see to show to everybody that wasn't sold on it yet. Like, this is still the Gears you love. And as somebody that still plays the Gears games, I kind of would have preferred to see, like, okay, what does it have that the games I love don't have, other than graphics,
Yeah, I guess my biggest takeaway from the Gears, like, I've only played 2, and I really, really like 2.
Yeah.
But my biggest takeaway from this game is that, like, weather, and they even showed it last year as well, weather seems to have a really, really important... It's an important part of the game and how you have to deal with weather at, while exchanging bullets with the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be
just
interesting.
the showing of like how they showed wind and just like when that storm came in halfway through that firefight, and it was literally just debris moving along the floor from the wind pushing it.
Yeah, and
I mean, just them little bits they really made that demo.
I think he shot something so that it broke apart, and then like a panel of something like hit an enemy. So that stuff's cool. I mean, it kind of adds a new element to the fighting. It's not just about cover shooting. That was actually like he kind of looked at what like environmental awareness and using the environment to take out enemies. That's cool. Like,
right?
Yeah,
totally.
But
yeah.
Do you have anything else to add, Vin?
No, really. I think. I mean, look like Gears, look great, look good. I mean, more Gears. Can't be a bad thing for the fans. But yeah, speaking of other things that we've seen before, is obviously Sea of Thieves was shown again this year. Nick, what did you think about it?
I loved what they showed of Sea of Thieves. I know people have mixed feelings about this edited Let's Play version of showing
fuck
games.
That, man. They showed the game and it looked good. And they did it in probably the best way they could have. I mean, if they didn't do it in that way, they'd have to do like a whole blowout and just talk about it and be like, okay, you can do this in the game, you can do that in the game. But to show like this edited little video of like a Let's Play thing where they was like, let's do this. Like, how the fuck do we like get this boat moving and stuff? And they're all sat there trying to figure out the sails and all this sort of stuff. It's like, that is really cool. Like you have to actually work as a team and they don't give you any explanation to it. It's just like, go, there's a boat, good luck sort of thing. And you can go out into this world and just like rule the 7 seas or whatever. That was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Totally, and I think that's where they kind of nailed it because it was so appropriate for this game because that's kind of what it seems like this game is all about communication. So that was totally the way to do it, and it's rare and it just feels great to be seeing that developer just do something that looks really innovative, like all over again. Because there aren't a lot of game developers making something like this, where it requires so much communication and it's so much about cooperating with people and trusting people. I'm totally sold on it, and it's just great to see Rare just let loose on something like this again.
Yeah, it is nice. Like they're not tied down to making freaking avatars for the dashboard anymore. They're actually working on a game, which is really cool. But yeah, the game looked great. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, we should move on. We've got a fucking crap load of games to get through for Microsoft, basically. Scalebound was next. Evan, what do you think about Scalebound?
I don't know. Like, I think that was a terrible showing for that game.
Same. I agree.
I mean, we sat there and just like, this is what you're showing. Like, this game it doesn't look all that great, and you just showed this massive. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's this big spider boss, but that's it. That's all you show. I just thought I didn't see anything in there that was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look new. Like nothing that they showed was new to the game. Like everything that we saw last year is just like this. But hey, there's a bigger enemy, and it's like, yeah, this is the biggest enemy ever made, and stuff like this. Like, yeah, that's cool. It's impressive that you're doing scale and stuff. But then right after Scalebound, they showed Final Fantasy 15 with the Titan, which was probably bigger. So it's like, well, no, you didn't make the biggest boss ever made, did you?
And it just seemed weird that they focused strictly on the co-op play. It's like, well, just
Right.
back
Yeah,
it up
it
a
was
bit. Why
weird.
don't you just show some of the single player stuff? I don't know.
Dude, I still don't know what's going on with the story, you know? Like, I have no idea what's going on. It's like this fucking douchebag kid with his Beats earphones or whatever, like, with his dragon, he just talks shit to it, and the dragon's like, oh, fuck you, kid, you know, sort of thing. And they're just, like, fighting stuff. That's the only story I've got from that game so far.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of want to know more. There's no hook to it yet. And that what they showed at E3 for me was just a bit like, I don't know. But how about you, Nick? What did you think about it?
So I actually really liked it.
Right, fair enough.
That's
No, I
this
mean
is
you're
great.
allowed.
This
Like
great.
this is great. This is why we have different opinions. It's good.
Yeah, so
What caught you?
Yeah, what did you
enjoy
see
about it?
that we didn't see?
Right.
So, as usual with this sort of stuff, like I like the weird goofiness of it all. Like I find the idea that you're just kind of this weird douchey guy who's just really into drum and bass. Just that really appeals to me, just because it sounds like it's really funny and something a little bit different. But anyway, the main thing I think I was watching the conference with my best mate, and like we always co-op games together, and we're totally just watching it, just like this is going to be so much fun for us to just jump into together and just be taking down these massive monsters, you know.
So the co-op
cool.
aspect is like keeping you interested.
Yeah, that's cool that you guys can, you're like, yep, we're doing this together. I thought what they showed, they picked the wrong thing to show. It was like last year with Gears 4. It's like, you shouldn't have showed this, show something different. And just this giant spider and this kind of like lowly lit, mediocre, like bluish cave. Like that's what you show? Like, we don't know anything about this game. Like, show us something grander. Like, have them ride the freaking dragon, for God's sakes, I don't know.
But yeah, we need to move on. We've got a crap load of games together.
Oh, God.
Recall. What? Recall. Like, I'm worried about Recall. The little amount of gameplay which they showed, it was like a really, really snappy, quick little trailer. I was like, they're hiding this, and that's kind of worrying.
Yeah, graphically it wasn't impressive, and it just looked like a mediocre third-person shooter.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried. I mean, there's a lot of people that are excited about it, but I'm definitely not one of them. How about you, Nick?
I was excited for it, and it looked okay. But yeah, I mean, we just need to see more of it. I'm definitely a little bit concerned, but I do still have faith.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just was a little too early. I think they perhaps showed a little early.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. Okay, Final Fantasy 15. Evan, what did you think about Final Fantasy 15?
With everything that comes out about this game, I'm getting more and more worried.
Yeah,
as someone who is going to play it, because I have to play every Final Fantasy game in the main series, but it's just like, again, like can we stop? Who's making these choices and picking like what they're going to show at these conferences? Because we've gone through so many. It's like, why this is what you show? Like, the
weird.
camera was a problem. Like, is he hurting the Titan? Like, I have no sense of like.
It was not. It was like a Titan manicure simulator. That's what it was. It was like just attacking its hand.
But I had no sense of like what the strategy was. Like I didn't even see, because the camera was so wonky. I didn't see the other three. Your companions. Like, it just I just didn't. I had no idea what was going on. And then one of the worst parts is, I really hope. I'm sure you could turn this off in the game. I hope it's not in it at all. But at the end, it's like, attack the Titan's arm with Blizzara to defeat it. I'm like, doesn't that
oh my God,
completely ruin the whole point of some sort of...
It just kills it. It's like, what is the point of trying to play the game and strategize and think, okay, how am I gonna beat this thing? Like, if we've got to flank around, like, all that just gets ruined by this stupid prompt on the screen. Like, to kill it, you do this. It's like, oh, thanks, buddy. Yeah. Thanks for ruining it, asshole.
If you can turn it off, that's totally cool. Maybe there are people that want to play these games and they don't know the strategy. Like, how do I debuff? How do I buff? How do I debuff? I'm not really sure. If the game, kind of nudges you in the right direction, totally fine. I just hope you can turn it off.
Yeah. How about you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm kind of a little lukewarm on it. I think I did hear that something did go wrong in that demo, and behind closed doors it was a little bit better. But not the best tactical showing. However, I thought it looked really cool when you actually all throw your big ice balls, and just visually, it was. I thought it looked really awesome, and the visual is going to be a big reason of why I play that game. So,
fair enough. Cool. So next game is Dead Rising 4. Obviously, we haven't seen Dead Rising in a while since the launch of the Xbox One. But yeah, are you excited to play another Dead Rising game, Evan?
Have you
ever played a Dead Rising game? That's a real question.
I played Dead Rising on what did that come out for? The Xbox 360?
Yeah,
the first one. Yeah, I played that on a standard definition TV, and I didn't get it, and I couldn't read anything because everything was so scrunched together, and I didn't understand why. I was like, what kind of font is this? This game sucks. It's a long time ago. But I've only played it for like a couple hours, and like I am done with zombies. I'm so fucking sick of zombies. I do not want to play another fucking zombie game. So I don't know. Maybe if you were a fan of the series, and which is a lot of people like the Dead Rising series, and it's like, yeah, Frank West is back, totally fine. But for me, I'm done with zombies. I'm sick of them. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I did make a bit of a joke about it because obviously the whole theme behind the game is like Christmas.
Right.
And like they had a Christmas song playing, they had Christmas visuals, and it's coming out in December. And I was just looking at it like, why have they fucking missed that release date? Is that just going to tank the game? Like they're fucked, right? Like if that gets delayed to February, then you're screwed. Basically, you can't release a Christmas game in February. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's social commentary on how zombies are. It's basically like rampant consumerism, right? And what better season?
Man, I bet that's in there.
Yeah.
It's got to be Black Friday, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, right.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Right, moving on, we've got Forza Horizon 3 was shown. And Forza Horizon 3 brought one of the most comical moments for me.
Oh, God.
In the whole conference. Was just for like, because obviously in the trailer they had all these different vehicles that you can drive with all these, different locations. And it starts out and it's like, Australia! And it's like people with fucking kangaroo shirts on or whatever. And that's the whole premise behind the game. It's set in Australia. But for like 2/3 of the conference, you had one guy who was in a Jeep, but this Jeep was being carried by a helicopter, and he was just swinging into shot for like literally 2/3 of the trailer until eventually we put the guy down.
We kept commenting on it.
Just comical as fuck.
It's like you'd go off a ramp.
It was really comical.
And then you just see this Jeep being carried by a plane, and I look at Vin, I'm like, what the hell is that? It's like he's getting a shot, right? He must be why is a Jeep? And then it just kept happening. He just kept showing up, and then we were just making jokes about it for like the rest of the day.
Yeah, I mean it was great. It was funny. But yeah, I mean it's cool how they got all these different locations, different vehicles. The game looks all right. I'm not really a racing guy, so I'm not really into that. But yeah, how about you, Nick? What do you think of it?
I thought it looked cool. It looked fun. It looked way more fun than any previous Forza game. But, it's a little bit tough for me to get really excited about it. I'm not sure, like, what a racing game needs to do to make me feel excited about it anymore because
right.
Definitely in the past would have said I was a big fan of racing games, and I've kind of also been really into cars, like, but yeah, like, not pumped on it. It looks good. It looks amazing on PC. I'm probably gonna play it on PC if I do play it, but I'm not even sure if it's something I would pick up. But for the racing fans though, like, I'm sure this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's great for them. Cool. So moving away from racing altogether, actually, Halo Wars 2 was shown a little bit. We got a trailer, tiny little glimpse of the gameplay. I was a huge fan of Halo Wars 1. It was probably the only game one of the few games where they've actually nailed RTS with a controller, which is really difficult to do. The other one being probably Civilization Revolution. That was probably the only other one that they've really nailed. But yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan of Halo Wars 1. It looks pretty much more of the same. I don't know if either of you guys play Halo Wars 1?
No.
So
fair enough. Cool. We don't have to talk about that one too much.
Well, what I will say, I'll definitely jump into this game, and it's kind of ironic because of what you're saying is that the reason I'll jump into this is because I will be able to play it with a mouse and keyboard.
Sure.
So
this is true. That's probably what turned off a lot of people, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I was an RTS fan back in the day when I was a PC gamer before I got into consoles, and I was worried about it. But no, they nailed it, man. Like, it's a really, like, the way they use their selection wheels and all this sort of stuff, like, it actually really works with the controller. So hat off to them for that. But yeah, Halo Wars 2, I'm kind of excited about it, but we'll have to see until I buy an Xbox because I still haven't got one. Moving on now, we've got another fan favorite, which people wanted, which was Gwent, the Witcher card game, which was like a mini game within The Witcher. That was actually announced, and a lot of fans are happy about that. Did you play The Witcher 3, Nick?
I did, but it was just, I could never really get into it for some reason. I've played all the Witcher games, and I've actually spent a lot of time. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with all of them, but I've also fallen off all of them. I think I probably got closest to the end with 2, but 3, like, one of my biggest gripes with open world games is just when there's a million icons on the map and it's not clear if any of them mean anything.
Right.
In this game, it felt awesome because it felt kind of like they all did lead to something. However, I think it's just a combination of never seeing a Witcher story through to the end before, right, and the gameplay. I just kind of fall off it. However, Gwent is a really well designed card game, and I'm actually really pumped to play the card game. And the announcement of the story and the details that have been trickling out about the story just sound amazing. So I'm actually really hyped for Gwent. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I haven't played Witcher 3. I don't think you have either, Evan, so
no,
we're not going to comment
I don't really
too
like.
much. I'm sure it's fun, though.
Yeah, I've never played a Witcher game. I don't really like card games unless it's Tetra Master from Final Fantasy IX. So if you're not bringing...
fucking man, brother.
If you're not...
If I turn homosexual, I'm marrying you. That's it.
If you're not bringing Tetra Master back, then yeah, I'm sorry. Next game.
Yeah, it's that or nothing. Fuck it. Yes, so much more respect for Evan now. But yeah, moving on. State of Decay 2 was also shown.
Fucking more
played
zombies.
The first one. I have no idea about this game. And yeah, State of Decay. You guys happy for it, or
no? It's more zombies.
I mean, I fell off the first game, but I only tried it very recently.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to the second one, just because, you know, playing a modern version of that with new graphics and new controls and stuff. I'm interested to see like what all the hype's about the first game. So yeah, it'd be good to jump in.
Cool. Yeah, other than that, we actually got quite a lot of updates, like DLC coming out for a lot of games. Minecraft is getting a DLC. I think Limbo's inside. Limbo's dev teams inside got announced. Well, got shown a bit more. Announced because it was announced years ago. But that's coming out soon. Division DLC is coming out, and then the next big game, which was shown, probably the last thing that we're actually going to talk about, is actually Tekken 7. Tekken 7 was shown. So what do you guys think about Tekken coming back? Evan, what did you think about it?
The only Tekken game I played that I was really, really into was Tekken 3 for the PS1.
Okay.
I played that game to death, but I am not...
Same.
Oh, really? Yeah, what a great game. I think it's the best one.
Yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, it's great.
Same,
But I'm not a fighting game fan. Like, no,
Same.
I appreciate fighting games for what they are, but I don't play driving games. I don't play fighting games. It's just not something I'm interested in. So,
yeah, that ship has sailed for me, definitely. But how about you, Nick? Do you still play fighting games, or you kind of like, yeah, it's cool for the fans, but
I do still play fighting games. I'm an extremely casual fighting game fan, but I still play Street Fighter 5. I still play Mortal Kombat X. Actually, like a year ago, managed to get an arcade stick for the Dreamcast, and I actually still play Soul Calibur on there from time to time.
Wow. But will you pick up this game? That's the real question.
No.
Right.
So that's the thing, is that I've been out of Tekken for a long time. Like 3 was the one I really liked. And everything I've ever seen of the other games, it just felt like they're getting closer to Street Fighter than Tekken has ever been, and it's just moving closer and closer to that, which I like. The different fighting games I like to play, I like them because they feel different from each other.
Yeah.
And it just looked too much like Street Fighter, and honestly, the only reason I'm not hyped from what they showed is because I'm not into those Tekken characters. Like, if it was two characters I really liked, like if it was like Jin and King, I'll probably be so hyped on it, but I'm not into that. They're not my favorite characters that they showed, so.
Fair enough. Cool. So we should move off away from Microsoft. But the last thing before we actually move off onto Ubisoft, I actually want to talk about the Scorpio, because obviously the Scorpio was shown. Well, it wasn't shown, it was announced to say that they were working on it. And from what I gathered, when they actually made this announcement, it was more of a tactical move against Sony rather than they were prepared to actually show it. And I don't know if you guys got the vibe from it, but it just felt like a response to the fact that Sony weren't showing the Neo this year, and they were sort of getting ahead of the game. But I am really, really shocked that it is a native 4K machine, which is pretty crazy. Like, what do you think about this, Evan?
It's definitely interesting. It's just a bit weird for me. Like, I'll watch it from afar, but living in Japan, and I'm probably gonna be here for probably the rest of my life.
Right.
It's just like, yeah. I mean, I want to see what happens with it, right? And they can just take the old casings from the Xbox One and probably fit, what it takes.
Maybe you can cut it in half, right? It's that big.
Yeah. So yeah, they can save money that way. No, it's cool. Obviously, it's nowhere near ready because they said holiday 2017. But
it's a while.
The most interesting thing to me about this is how PlayStation is going, or how Sony is going to counter with how they reveal the Neo. So
this is definitely like a tactical move. It's like a massive game of chess with all these consoles and all these hardwares coming out recently. Especially now, Nintendo are obviously in the middle of this. We've got Sony talking about the 4K coming out, and then obviously Xbox have just announced a slim version of their console, which is coming out in August, and then they've got the Scorpio. It's like we're in the middle of a cycle, but it doesn't feel like it anymore. It's really weird. But yeah, it's all chess moves right now. But how about you, Nick? What did you think about the Scorpio? Is it too far away for you to even care, or anything like that?
No, I really care about it. The Scorpio seems like it could be potentially the biggest deal in the console market for the last 20 years. However, I don't necessarily think that it was they announced this. I don't think they announced it as a response to Sony, but I just think it's one of those rare examples of where Microsoft PR actually has responded to a leak a little bit better than Sony. Because I think that if the public knows something exists, then it is a good move to just come out and talk about it.
Cool.
Yeah, and other than that, the actual tech specs, they are going to deliver on those, and that will be so far ahead of what the Neo will be able to do technically, and it's also going to support VR. It could just be a watershed moment for console gaming if they deliver on all this, and I think they could.
Yeah, I just, at that point, it's like, I'll just buy a PC, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's the problem, right? I mean, it depends on the price range of this thing. It's
sure, that's the most important
If it's like $500, then fuck it, I'm just going to put it in the extra and then buy a gaming PC because I can upgrade that whenever. But if it comes out and it's like $400, $300, then, they could be on something.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right then, guys, that actually brings us up to the end of this episode, which seems a bit strange. I know it's because we've still got a few topics to get through, but because E3 has been so big this year, we're actually going to break it up into two. So episode 14.5 should be coming out relatively close to this one, and we'll continue to talk about Ubisoft, Sony, and the Nintendo stuff, which was shown there as well. The reason why we did this is because we don't really want to have our listeners endure through a 2.5 hour podcast episode. I mean, you'd probably get bored, and it just drain us, and we don't really want to have to put people through that. So it's probably best all around that we do release it into two separate episodes. But it will be coming out relatively quick. We're not gonna wait a whole week for that one to come out. You know, it's gonna come out pretty much within the day or two after this episode. So make sure you keep an eye out for it. It should be on the usual outlets of SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes as always. So with that, let's say thank you very much and thank you for joining us. So we will catch you guys in the next one. Ta-ta!
Sayonara.
Bye.
Bye-bye.